Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Menachos daf Mem Aleph. We are going to begin on the top of Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, about 8 or so lines from the top. Tanabah. Talis Kfula. Let's say you have a talis and you fold it into two. And even by doing so, it still is the minimum measurement. So chayeves b'tzitzis. So the din is that even though it's doubled over, and then you're going to put the tzitzis through the double part, it's still chayev. Rav Shimon poiter. Rav Shimon disagrees and says no, such a talus you cannot have a talus like that. Says Rashi, shahaisa arucha. It was very long. Kishtayim, like two, then v'kafla. So why does Rav Shimon say it's potter? He says for a practical reason, shim tivshat, if you take it apart afterwards, what is happening is nimsa sitziyais b'em siyasa. Then the tzitzis will be in the middle, because if you would take it and fold it in half, and now you put tzitzis here, so this part, when you unfold it, now it's in the middle. So therefore he says that's going to be a problem. However, B'shavim shim kafla v'tafra shechayeves. This is actually interesting. This is question TB23. Motai kuyam u'moed chayeves. So if you sew it up so that you're not going to unfold it, so then you're chayev. So in fact, the Gemara, so tafra b'shita. Obviously, if you're going to have it sewn up, then what's the problem? Well, tzricha denakta b'sichi. You fasten it with tacks. So in this situation, even though it may not be the strongest type of sewing, but it's enough that we're going to assume that's going to stay that way, and it's not going to be an issue. Fine. Rabba bar Huna ikul be Rabba bar Rav Nachman. So he went there, and chazia dehava mechasi taus kfula. So he actually saw that he actually had a talus which was folded over. And he had these strings there. And then, Ifshite, when he unfolded Yasachuta, the strings would come lahadi reisha. It was like at his head. So, again, this was the problem that Rav Shimon said, that it may look all fine up until you unfold it. Once you fold it, they're not on the corners anymore. So Malay live hainu kanaf the kasav rachmana baraisa. This is not what the Torah is talking about, right? Because it's standing in the middle of your garment. So asa shandia echasi gli machriti. So he took it off, recognizing perhaps that's an issue, and he put on a regular garment which has the tzitzis in the right place. Sharmalei said, 1 second, you're not out of the woods yet. Misavris chayvis gavrahu chayvis talasu. It's not just a chiv on yourself that there's a mitzvah for you to wear tzitzis, and once you're wearing tzitzis, that's it, you fulfill the mitzvah. No, there's a chayvis talus, which means even if, let's say, you have 10 garments, every one of those garments, even if you're not wearing them, you still have to have tzitzis on them. So zil ramile, so go and fix it properly. Go and put it on. Take them off the middle and put them on the right place. So let's say this is a proof that it's a chayvus talus. The obligation is not on the person but on the garment itself. As we said before, as soon as they sew even the smallest amount, they would already put in the tchelas. So, which means they're not even wearing it yet. So the fact that they're not even wearing it, then itself demonstrates that you still have to do it. No, just because they do it, they're called Chasidim Rishayim. If in fact it was a chiyuv, then it wouldn't just be the Chasidim, it would be everyone. So maybe you can actually say the other way around. Upliga de Malka, the Malacha Ashchel Rav Ketina. So we find this Malach, who actually is going to say that's a chayvus gavra, that's on the person, not on the garment. So you could say, let's say the opposite. Let's say you have absolutely no garments, which are four-cornered garments. So then, if you hold it's a chayiv on the talos, there's no chayiv, and therefore you don't have to everywhere it tzitzis. So this person, the Ashkel Rav Katina, the Malach found Rav Katina, the Machasi Sedina, that he was wearing a garment and there was no tzitzis on it. And it's because it was night. It was kususlaila. It was like a nighttime garment. So Amalei Katina Sedina Bekaita. So this garment that you're wearing maybe is not the right time. The Sarbala Bisisua, and this garment during these like winter time, tzitzis shel tacheles mateleha. So Rashi says Sarbala B'siyusa is going Isa Shalana Shena Gulin, that you have these round garments. It seems like you're going out of your way. It says Rashi Ve'eno Ela Shnei Kanafayim, only has two corners. It's Patrim Tzitzis because it's round, right? So I understand it seems like it's not a big deal, but where's your tzitzis? Now that in itself implies that there's a chayvus gavra to wear tzitzis. So Amalei asisu esa. So he said, like, this is what I did. Amalei bizman deika rischa anshinon. At the time which Hashem is angry, you're going to get punished. So he am Rabbi Shlomo chayvus gavra, who, if you want to tell me it's an obligation on him, he's not wearing tzitzis, hanim chayiv deloika ramu. This is the reason why he's chayiv, even the fact he's not wearing them, even though he doesn't have any four-cornered garments. He needs to have them. If you want to tell me the chayiv is just on any four-cornered garment, halo mechayva, right? Because there's no four corners. So it's a proof that it's a chayvus gavra. Elomai chayvus gavra who so nihi de chayvi rachmana. So I understand the Torah will say you're obligated makimachasi talis to bas chayuva. You're only chayiv if the talis itself is a bas chayuva. Kimachasi talis la bas chayuva he mi b'chayiv rachmana. So this is he's wearing a round garment. So he's not, he shouldn't have to be chayiv. El hachi kamalei. What he's basically saying is titzdaki lemifteri nafshecha mitzitzis. You are basically actively evading the mitzvah of tzitzis. It seems that you're trying your best to go around and not have to wear them. It says Rashi, Tavakesh tachbulois liftor atzavut tzitzis. So again, it gives the impression that you're trying not to have them. By the way, you're wearing you're specifically wearing garments which are, the corners are rounded off. Amarav Tuvi bar Kisna, Amar Shmuel, Kli Kuftza Chayevim Tzitzis. Let's say you have a garment which is in a drawer, that's also going to be Chayevim Tzitzis. So any of your clothes, which four corners, which is mashma, even you're not wearing them, it doesn't matter, it must be, because this is under the idea is that it says asher tekasaba. This is considered like anything that you cover yourself with. So any four-cornered garment needs to have tzitzis, which again it sounds it's chayvus. It's not considered to be a chayvus gavra, but it's more mashma that it's chayvus talus. Right? There's a chayiv on the talus. Okay, so fine. Umayda Shmuel. Now, even though Shmuel says that anything which is in a drawer is still chayiv in tzitzis, so Umayda Shmuel bezakin shi'asa lechvaydei shipatura. If you have a four-cornered garment for a zaken, for his kvaydei, and Rashi says that's like a nice way of saying tachrichin. These are for shrouds. So since they were made for someone who's not mechuyev b'davar, so that individual will not have to. You don't have to have tzitzis for them. My time ashter tekasba rachmana. A garment which you cover. yourself with. Halav lachsuye avida. These are not used to cover you. But he shaita, however, he shaita vadi raminan lay. Even though we don't paskin like this, they say at its time when you taka have the garments given over to the mace, then it's necessary to actually put tzitzis on this four-cornered garment. Says Rashi, the ilo ramina. If you don't do it, dami kiloigo urush. Koimer ifterleim mitzvahs. You're basically showing, you're putter for mitzvahs. So therefore, by not having a four-cornered garment, that could be loy l'rush, which, and therefore you put tzitzis on the mace. Mishum loy l'rush charef asayu. Now this actually is an interesting din because we don't talk a hole like this halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa, we do have them wear a talus, but we take one of the corners and we actually cut the strings off, and we take the tzitzis, those 8 strings, and we tie it around the gartel. That's the minhag, the prevalent minhag, at least in Ashkenazic Jewry. So this is not actually halacha what we do. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Amar Rachva Amar Rav Yehuda Talis Shenikra. Let's say you have a garment that tore. It's chutz l'sholish. It's outside of the 3 etzba'os of the corner. So yitfor. So you can just re-sew that area. It's not a problem. However, it's teich sholish lo yitfor. If it's within those 3 etzba'os of the corner, then you don't. If it's outside of the 3, it's further away, then yitfor. Chutz sholish is actually a machlokus. Rameir Omer will yitfor, Chachamim yitfor. Shavim, even though there's a machlokus, if it's within 3, shlo yavi afil amal mamakam acher uvat chelos v'toylaba. You can't take, let's say, another garment, let's say a 4-cornered garment, you take a corner which has tzitzis on it, and let's say you remove that little corner, and then you re-sew it onto that garment. That's definitely not allowed. That's an issue of tasavon asoy. It's that you cannot do that. V'shavin shemevi tchelos mamakam acher. You could actually take strings from another garment, provided that you untied those strings from the other garment, and then you retie them onto the new one, the toylaba. That you are allowed to do as we continue to mem aleph and beis. It just cannot be cut off. It says Rashi, she kol chutia shleiman. All the strings have to be whole. Okay. Shmami no matir mebeged lebeged. And we actually see from here that if you have tzitzis on one beged, you can take them off and then put them onto another beged, which is, we're going to see, is actually machlokas. Remember, it says, it doesn't necessarily mean that's a raya. It's dilma di'i b'le'i. Says Rashi, hadid tani shemevi techelos mamakam acher v'toylabav loichashinan lebezayin. We're not considered, it's like a bezayin to take from one beged to another. The mavazel latas rishayna, by you taking off the first one. It's a bizoy, the nitbola. We're talking about where it is worn out, right? So if it's a beloy, right? It's a worn out garment. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're not supposed to take, cannot be matim and beged, but if it's a worn out old garment, so then that we're going to be more lenient. We're not going to say it's a bezoyin, because it's just logical that you're allowed to take that off. Okay. All right. So that's that. Tan Rabban. Talus shekula tchelas. Let's say you have a talus, and it's entirely blue, right? So you have, in this case, all the strings are blue. So kol mini sevuyin paturin ba chutz mikol ilon. So typically what we want to do is we want to make a distinction between the tchelas blue and white strings. So the reality is that if it's all blue, you can use other strings, even if it's not white, but you just cannot use kala elon because. And what's the problem with the kala elon, which is like an indigo? It says Rashi because the dedami l'tchelos, and this is question 9. Matam de tala shekula tchelos lo yato bo kala elon l'shum lavan. If everything is tchelos, so then why can't you use this fake blue? So Rashi says the dedami l'tchelos because it looks a lot like the other ones. Zimin. The mezavan lo inishachrina. You may sell this garment to someone else. They're going to think every one of these strings is kosher tchelas, when really some of it is mikleilon, and that's a problem. Because let's say they want to switch to another talus. Let's say when this one gets worn out. So shakal trei chutin mahacha, they'll take 2 strings. The nice and shamim lavan, they'll put it together with a white to contrast it, 2 and 2, 2 blue, 2 white. The tachas elu yitain lavan, v'nimsas achas mehen nifter mekal ilan. So it's going to turn out that you're using kal ilan, which is not good. And v'havi kilayim b'lo mitzvahs. We said if the beged is linen and the strings are wool, so it's not an issue because if you're darshan smuchin like Beis Hillel, then it's okay. But the problem is that that's only if you're actually doing the mitzvah. But if you're not doing the mitzvah, then it's kilayim. So that's the problem, why we don't want you to use mikla ilan together with all the techelos, because a person's going to end up making a mistake and thinking that that's actually techelos too. Let's look at question 9. So the damil techelos, since it's like the blue, zimdin de mezavan, you'll sell the garment. The savar halokeach, the buyer will think shekolchu teha techelos. That's all blue. It's all tchelos. V'nasan l'kala ilan im lavan v'avi kilayim. So you're going to end up creating kilayim. Or debi'inan shnei minim kiroiv talitot v'kala ilan v'tchelos hakol ke'achad. It has to be contrasting colors, and therefore it has to be any color. Even though we do white, but it really could be any color in this case, other than kal ilan, because it is the same color. Okay, meisvei. All right, so we ask a kasha. Talis ein poiter ba'ela mina. So a talis cannot pater unless it's the same min. Says Rashi, ima dumahi, if it's red, yato b'shnei chutin adumin, then you should use 2 red strings. B'shnei chutin tchelos v'chein shar gvanim. So basically, the strings should match the garment. Talis ein poiter ba'ela mina. Talis shekula tchelos. However, let's say the whole garment is made out of blue, so maybe tchelos. So you could bring tchelos, which is mashma. The whole thing could be tchelos. Tchelos v'davar acher. V'toyleba v'kol ilan lo yavi. But it says don't use the blue. The imhavi kosher. But it says taki, if you did, it's okay. So we just said before that you can't use kol ilan, even seemingly even b'diavad is not good. Right? Everything is pater chutz mikol ilan, which is mashma, even b'diavad is not good. So Omer Rav Nachman Yitzchak lo kasha. Kan betalis bas arba chutin, kan betalis bas shmoyne chutin. So one is a talis which has 4 strings, and since they all look the same, and then you have a talis which is 8 strings. Okay, let's look in Rashi. So betalis bas daled chutin. Shnaim tchelos v'shnaim kal ilan kosher. So if it's 2 and 2, then it's okay. However, talis b'shmeine chutin, let's say it's 8 strings, arba tcheles, you had 4 which are tcheles, v'hitul ba'arba kal ilan, then you did another 4, l'kay mitzvah shnei minim, in order to have 2 different things. So psulin. Why? Dehoyil u'bar kal ilan ika chutin. Kol tzarcha chayshin dilma matzach latalas achriti v'shakol hanaf tetchelas v'tali b'hasav leika hacha ela kal ilan. Okay, lashon acher v'ikar chutz mikol ilan dehai ashnei moiris. Right, it has to have 2 has 2 looks, 2 appearances. That's what we're makbid on. It can't all look the same. Anyway. So when it's talking about bas arba chutin, so it's 2 and 2, then it's kosher. However, it's 8, that's problematic because then you're going to end up removing them and it'll end up becoming this issue. So shema mino matir mebegel beged. Again, dilma diavad. Maybe it's only a case of b'diavad. So imar. Rabbi Eimer in matir mebegel beged. Shmuel Eimer matir mebegel beged. So again, this is the machlokas, whether you can remove strings from one tzitzis to the other. Rabbi Eimer ein, that's one machlokas. Rabbi Eimer ein madlika mener l'ner. Shmuel Eimer madlika mener l'ner. So this is in Bemed Madlikin, it's about Chanukah. So are you allowed to light the Chanukiyah from one candle to the next? Okay? Rabbi Eimer ein, fine. And Shmuel Eimer madlika mener l'ner. Rabbi Eimer ein halach Rav Shimon begreira. Shmuel Eimer halach Rav Shimon begreira. So the machlokas with regard to greira of dragging let's say a very heavy bench, which is a davar she'ein mischaven, but you're making a charitz, you're making an indentation. So do we hold davar she'ein a malacha she'ein davar she'ein in this case? Not malacha she'ein sricha gufa, but davar she'ein mischaven. Okay, a davar she'ein mischaven. Rabbi Shimon is paters, even though it's seemingly almost looks like a psik ratio. Okay, anyway, so that's the question. Do we hold like Rabbi Shimon begreira? So Rabbi kol mili damar avid karav. I always hold like Rav of our mahadi tlas davi kishmul. I hold like Shmuel. What is that? Matir mebeged beged. So when it comes to from one garment to the next, so Shmuel is lenient. Madlikin and ner, in which Shmuel says madlikin ner, so there, he's lenient by both. Lach Rav Shimon begreira, that he's lenient. So basically, he holds like Shmuel l'kula by all these three things. Question 10. Amar Rabbi kol mili damar avid kamar labar mahadi tlas yavid kishmuel elohin hatlas. What are the three? So matirin sitzis mebeged beged madlikin b'chanukah mener l'ner. Lach Rav Shimon begreira ein mischaven. Right. Malacha she'ein davar she'ein mischaven. Okay. This time Rav Shimon Eimer gair adam mita kisei v'saf. So here we go. A person can drag all these vessels on the ground. Your intention should not to make a huge indentation in the ground. Rav Yomi Masule L'Kitzra says Rashi that he would give it over L'Koivis to a wanderer. V'loi chayish dilma menachta tchelis v'rami bakal ilan. He was never concerned that he would end up somehow giving him kali ilan tzitzis. Rav Chisda Abdullah Sisa says Rashi kishe naisna l'koivis, when he used to give it to a wanderer, mekapel hatzitzis, he would like fold over the tzitzis so that they didn't snap. Ravina chayet lahu mechat. Rashi says oisel atalos kamin shafa. He made like a hem. Machni achutin b'tocha v'tayfer hasafa. Okay. Tanabanan. Kama chutin hu noisein. Actually, let's slow down for a second. Let's maybe see another couple questions. TA 20. Omer Shmuel kli kupza. So the kli kupza is chayiv tzitzis. So if it's which means it must be the chayiv is on the talis, not on the gavra. Be'el begadim moide Shmuel the rak b'shas levisha. Matil mehen tzitzis. You only can put in the tzitzis b'shas levisha when it's being put on. U'madua b'term b'tchila u'madua b'shas levisha matilan. So this is a hard question, but we did say this was talking about the case of the lechvoidai, which is for the tachrichin. TA20, this is what we said, that Moide Shmuel bezokin shiasel lechvoidai shepatur ma'itama asher moim rachmana. Fine. However, later on when he dies, because then you do. So let's look at what he writes. Tachrichin kaidul levisha patura. The enam asun l'chisoi. Okay. And again, we're not knowing that, but that's what the answer is. Okay, let's see. Question TB. So I already saw TB 23. Okay, that's going to be it for that. And that's the only question on that daf. Okay, so let's keep on moving. I think we're up to Tanur Rabbanon. So the Gemara says like this. Okay, so Tanur Rabbanon, Kama chutin hu noisin. How many strings do you actually put into the tzitzis? So Beishami Armim Dalid, it should be 4 strings, which means we take it and we fold it over. Beishami Armim Gimel. He says actually it is 3. Okay, fine. So that's the machlokas. As Rashi, Arba chutin, 4 strings, Nasan Bechor Hatalos, you put into the hole, V'kaiful Nishmaina, and you double it up to 8. Or as opposed to Beishamai, that's Beishamai. Beis Hillel says 3, which ends up being 6. V'kamatehi Mishul Hashes. So he says how much should be hanging like extra. So he said it's Beishami Armim Dalad, Beis Hillel Armim Gimel. Says Rashi, Arba Etzba'is, 4 fingers. That's how much the string should be. And Beis Shammai says, just as long as it's 3 fingers, that's enough. Okay. So that's the second. Beis Shammai Armim Dal, Beis Hillel Armim Gimel. For Gimel, Shebeis Hillel, when Beis Shammai said 3, Shebeis Hillel Armim Achas Mi Arba B'Tefach Shel Kol Adam. This is 1/4 of a tefach of each person, which is how we're measuring each etzba. Amar Papa tefach deraisa dalid begoidel. Now, when we talk about a tefach with regard to the Torah itself, it is the 4 fingers and the thumb, which is shis b'katana, 6 fingers for a small child, and the chamish betilta, and 5 says Rashi betilta etzba v'kulon mida achasi. It's really all the same measurements. It just depends on who we're talking about. Amrav huna dalid b'toich dalid u'mishuleshes, that it should be 4 strings folded over. There should be 4 etzba'os that are left over. The Rabbi Yehuda Omer Gimel, 3 strings, but Toich Gimel, within, and it should be within 3 from the corner. Mishuleshes Gimel, and it should hang down 3. Amar Papa Hilchasa, and this is question, I wrote 11. Mahu Hashir D'Isa B'Gemara. What is the measurement the Gemara says over here? L'harchik hagedil mikatza habeged l'chol hayoser. As far as it being far from the corner. So the Hilchasa Dalid, you should have 4 strings. B'toich shalosh mishulashos arba. So b'toich shalosh, which means it has to be no more than 3 fingers from the corner, and Mishuleshes Arba, again, it should hang 4 etzba'os. Well, remember the Islahu Shiura. So all this is implying that there's measurements when it comes to the length of the tzitzis and everything. Reminhu tzitzis ein tzitzis elayoytze, ein tzitzis elamashahu. So when it says referring about tzitzis, it's elayoytze. Toli v'yoytze min hakanaf mashahu, should come from the garment at least a mashahu, right? The ein tzitzis el mashahu has to come at least a little bit out. The kfar olu zikni beisham v'zikni beisilo le'alias yochanan ben beseir of yomer tzitzis ein lo shir kiyotzeboy. So there's no measurement, and also lulav ein bo shir. The measurement of lulav, there's no shear. So my love in Moshir Klal, right? there's no measurement at all, right? Which means it doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is. Gemara is low. Ein lo shir l'malwa, right? It can be as big as you want it to be. But there is a minimal shear, which, as Rashi again points out on Mem Beis Amud Aleph, it's Dumishleshes Dalid Be'inon, that it has to be hanging down 4 etzba'os of a batzer mahani, but if it's any less than that, low. We say it's not okay. Tiny mashahu, when we say a small amount, the mashahu nami miskashri gardumi. Okay. So that's the answer. There is you're right, there's no shear to the biggest amount, but there is a minimum shear. And it makes sense. There's no measurement. So hachi nami dein lo shir klal v'tanan. It's a befer shemishna. Lo sheish bo gimel tvachim. Kedei l'nanei abo. Really, over there, kedei l'nanei abo, which is an extra tefach. So the lulav is 4 tvachim is kosher. El ein lo shir l'mala, abo yesh lo shir l'mata. Hachi nami lo shir l'mala, abo yesh lo shir l'mata. So it's not true. There is a shear. It's just that there's no maximum shear. Like a lulav has to at least be 4 tefachim, 3 and enough to hold it, which is another tefach. But it could be much larger than 4 tefachim. It would certainly still be a kosher lulav. And so too over here is the same thing. With regard to the tzitzis, they could be very long, but the minimum amount, it still needs to be. Ad kan.